What is going on, guys? Miles here, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the patch notes for the Call of Duty World War II multiplayer update which just came out today. Let's do this. Overall, I think this is a really good update, and I think you guys are going to like it as well because it finally addresses a problem which a lot of people have been having with COD World War II since the very release of the game, and that is sprint out times. And if you guys don't know what sprint out times are, basically it's the time it takes for you to go from running to aiming down sights, which a lot of people thought was way too long in this game compared to some of the other COD games, and it's finally being changed in today's update. So all SMGs have been buffed, as it now takes a shorter time to aim down sights when you're standing still, as well as when you are running, which is sprint out time. And overall, I think this is a really good change to SMGs in the game, because I felt like rifles kind of outclassed SMGs because of the sprint out time problems in the game, and hopefully that will fix this and SMGs will be more competitive. For all rifles in the game, the time it takes to aim down sights while standing still has been reduced, but sprint out time does remain the same for rifles, which I think is fair enough overall. And Sledgehammer Games' plans for this is to make a different sort of playstyle for SMGs and assault rifles in the game, which I think is fair enough. All the light machine guns now have reduced aim down sights time, however all the snipers in the game now have increased aim down sights time, which is a slight nerf to quickscoping in the game, which I think is fair enough. I don't really quickscope myself, so I don't know exactly how easy it was. But overall, basically for every weapon in the game, aim down sights time has been reduced, but it has been increased for snipers. Now we can move on to specific weapons, starting off with the MP40. The MP40 now has reduced recoil to make it more competitive and to try and put it on par with the PPSH, which I think is fair enough. I definitely thought the MP40 was like a tier below the Type 100 and PPSH, so I think this buff is fairly useful, but I don't think it's going to have a huge impact because the recoil wasn't that high on the gun anyway. The FG42 rifle has had a nerf to its fire rate after it was recently buffed, and this one to me is kind of strange. I did make a video when the FG42 did get buffed. I'll leave a link in the description somewhere, where I kind of analysed the buff of the weapon, and it was only like 13 rounds per minute, but a lot of professional players sort of complained that this was actually too OP for the weapon, but myself, I thought it was okay, to be honest, but it has actually been reduced, probably back down to what it was before the buff, so I think it's going to be around 447 rounds per minute now. A lot of the semi-auto rifles have been changed in the game, starting off with the SVT40. This thing now has buffed recoil, so it's easier to shoot at a longer range. However, it does have a nerfed hipfire spread, which is going to make it more difficult to shoot at a closer range. For the M1A1 carbine, it now has a buff in fire rate to make it more competitive, along with the other semi-auto rifles in the game. The Gavir has seen a bunch of changes as well. It now has an increased fire rate to make it slightly above the M1A1 carbine. It has reduced recoil, and its clip size has been increased from 10 to 12 rounds. And overall, I think these changes to the semi-auto rifles are really good, as I felt like these rifles were kind of bad in the game and there wasn't really much point in using them above the M1 Garand. So hopefully they're going to be slightly better now and more competitive in the game. And finally, a bunch of shotguns have been changed in the game as well, starting off with the M30. This thing now has buffed damage per pellet, which is going to make it a more automatic 2-shot kill and a slightly more forgiving 1-shot kill. This shotgun also has a buffed damage range, which makes it more likely to get a kill from a longer range, and it has a buffed aim down sight spread to allow for greater accuracy whilst aiming down sights, obviously, which I think is some pretty good changes overall. The toggle action shotgun has seen a few changes as well. Its clip size has been increased from 6 to 8, which I don't think is going to have a huge effect on the weapon, to be honest, and its aim down sight spread has been nerfed to be on par with the other shotguns, and to be honest, I didn't know the accuracy was even different when aiming down sights with the toggle action, so once again I don't think it's going to have a big effect on the weapon. So they are all the changes which were made in today's Call of Duty World War II update. Overall, I'm really happy with most of them, and I think the sprint out time is actually going to have a big effect on the gameplay, so let me know what you think of this patch down in the comments below, and if you found the video useful, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Call of Duty, but I'll see you guys in my next video.